So I got out my Procreate this weekend. I just feel like drawing. But then soon after I started drawing, I started to get bored with the brush choices that they gave me. And I thought, what if I can make my own brushes just using things I see in the world around me? So that's what I decided to do this weekend. I basically made my own brushes using pictures of things that I've seen. So if you want to learn how to do that, stay tuned. So I took this picture of the brick outside my house and I said, ooh, that would make a nice brush. I don't know, maybe normal people wouldn't think that way, but I did. So I decided to make a brush out of it. So what you need to do is basically work your way down to making it into a black and white photo that is highly contrasted. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I messed with a little bit of exposure. I messed with a little bit of the contrast. I messed with the brilliance of it, and I messed with the shadows. So making sure that I'm adding some shadows in places, but then taking it away in other places. But basically, when you get done with it, with the editing of the photo, it should be black and white by the end. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't be afraid to mess around with different things, with the hue, the black point, the contrast. You wouldn't have to worry about messing with the lighting or anything like that, because we just want it to be black and white. And so that's what I ended up doing. And I did this all using the photo app on the iPad Pro. I didn't have to do any special apps to do this editing of this photo. But basically what you need is take a black and white photo and then you're going to export it into Procreate. Once I got my black and white photo, I cropped it to an area that kind of looks really good to make it into a brush. So that's what I'm doing here. This could easily be a picture of the moon surface, but it's not. It's the brick outside my house. All right, once it's saved, I'm gonna open up my Procreate here. So here's the leaf I was working on. To add your new brush, you're gonna hit the brush symbol and then hit the plus symbol there. Notice it says untitled brush. And then we have shape source and then we have our grain source. So our shape source is basically the shape of the brush and how it's gonna be. So when we do that, this is just the outside of it. So I used the Pro library to do that, and I just picked, I think, ink splotch or ink sponge. Yeah, I chose ink sponge. So now we have our shape source chosen. Now we need our grain source, and we're gonna not choose from the Pro library, but we're gonna choose from insert photo. So that's gonna go to your camera roll, and that's when you go in there and you grab your edited photo. So now we have our grain source. So now we get to play around with it. I really didn't want to play around with it too much because I like it the way it was. You can play with the opacity, the shape of it. You can play around with the grain of it and the stroke, whether you want it to taper in the beginning or at the end. That's up to you. You can change the movement of it. You can change the scale of it, which is basically changing the background photo that you just put into your grain source. And so for me, I just wanted it to stay the same. And so now I'm just going to take it and play around with it, use different colors to give it a little bit more life, because this just looks so flat and so boring. I just want to add some life to it. Disclaimer, I am not a Procreate Pro. I just learned about layers, as you can see my mistake here. And so I just learned about the alpha lock thing. So basically, as you can see here, I can shade all I want on there and it's not going to go outside the layer, and I just love it. So that's what I'm just going to try and do, is basically change the color, the opacity, to give it a little bit more plumpness, a little bit more depth and contrast. So let's see what I came up with using that new brush that I did by my own hands and stuff. If you feel that you can use this in your Procreate travels, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. I'm not sure if I will do any more Procreate things, but you never know with me. You never know. And as always, thank you so much for watching.